What's up, guys? Chris with Cross CNC here. Let me know if you can hear me. It has been a rough couple of weeks. I got more crap to carry around with me. So when I carry stuff around, I got to carry my pacemaker remote thing, chapstick because I'm always dehydrated, inhaler, and nitro. That's like my go-to packing bag now. I got to carry a suitcase with me whenever I go anywhere. Good news is I'm not going anywhere too quickly. um, we are back. It is episode 54 of Coffee and Cuts. I gotta clean my freaking desk off. This is ridiculous. But since last time we talked, some major things have started to happen. The X-Carve is back up and running. The X-Carve is now fitted with a endurance laser 10-watt kit. The CNC for Noobs is running hard, and that is running a JTech 7-watt Pro, which is kind of cool. So both big routers have lasers on them. So realistically, at this point, we can laser etch 8-foot by 4-foot single stage laserings. Yeah, Joe. Joe says, look at the dogo in the background. That's my female, Yazi. She's a good girl. Yazi's a good girl, aren't you? But we've got both machines are running. We've got the Helix Maker running. The plasma machines are running. The powder coat's running. The milling machine, one of the milling machines is running. Possibly changing that up and putting the other one online also. The lathe project will be running this week. And that's about it. That's about where we're at. So, been doing a lot of research on casting. I've been thinking how can we do some really cool castings and stuff. So I've been researching a lot on how to start a casting, how to start machining a casting. By the way, my coffee's brewing right now, so I don't have any coffee on hand. But one of the things that I found with casting is you have to kind of have an idea of the part that you're making, and then once you have the idea of the part that you're making, you can then devise, like, if there's a bearing in it, if that bearing has to be perpendicular to a certain face, okay, you'll actually have to bore the bearing hole, and then without changing that setup, face off the important end. That way it's 90 degrees to each other. Once you get those two pieces in, even once you get the one piece in, it's actually really simple to start machining. You machine it just like any other part. So if I cast an aluminum piece, which I'm already thinking I'm going to make a belt drive reducer for my drill press, so that I can put that on there and be able to bore my metals easier. I have it on its lowest setting now, and it typically burns up bits. Um, it's an old Delta drill press, but I'll be able to cast the pulleys for that, and then after I cast the pulleys for that, I'll be able to machine them. And to me, that's one of those really cool features. Um, a lot of people don't realize what goes into a lot of this stuff. And could I forge this stuff? Absolutely. We could. We don't even have to forge it. We buy a billet block of, say, aluminum, and it could cost me upwards to $400 or $500 for the block, and then machine all of it out in multiple steps, taking weeks to do and everything like that. When I could just cast the outside shell and then machine the faces and bearings. Um, so I'm going to be looking into that a lot more. Uh, I think I want to do some more work on the X carve, so I might end up putting linear rails and rack and pinion on that, and probably just doing a direct drive. So it wouldn't be anything too spectacular or major, but I'm thinking if I just cast the plates and then I machine them flat, I'll be able to mount the bearings and the x-axis, and we'll be good to go. So that's kind of what my thought is there. Um, so yeah, um, yeah, Joe, the linear rails really do something spectacular. When you think about it, all the major CNC companies use linear rails. Now, granted, they're using, 2x4 block um, for their rail or for their bearing block and a matching rail, but that's what they're doing. That's what they're making. Um, so you can't really gripe about it. It works. It's proven to work. So I say, hey, more power to them. Let's do this. Um, but I'm just thinking of different things, different ways. Um, I mean, I could get more out of my X carve by offsetting the spindle back about 4 inches. Um, I'll be able to do the aluminum casting for the snap cut uh, um, impact engraver and stuff like that. So that's kind of where the casting is at and why I'm going that way. Um, so that's that. Jerry, good morning, sir. Um, hold on, guys. I got to show you. I actually did that project for Jerry. So um, we did a project. I'm not quite sure what it is. He told me and I forget, but we did the first iteration of it was the flower of life, and we used a radius roundover bit. You can see the radius right here. Um, and then we used a compression bit on the outside. So it's a crystal grid board. Um, so we did those. Um, I think some of the things that we're going to try, I like this look. I think that it might be a little too deep. And I think that uh, I got to do some laser work possibly. I was looking at it and I was like, that would look really good laser etched. So just kind of looking at things right now, but I mean, they look pretty good for a prototype. Um, I can show you what I did. So that's what the prototype code looked like in the simulation, and everything went pretty well. I have a little bit too much material um, left on the onion skin, so I gotta play with that. But here's the file that I actually created. Um, I used a Fibonacci spiral to design the actual spirals, to make sure that they were geometrically correct. And then all the crossovers, I just did a simple connector, vector connector. Um, so I knew this was going to be the shape of my outside. I knew this was going to be how far in I wanted it to go on the display. So that was just a matter of, hey, let's get this done, and see what we can do for him. And all in all, I mean, it turned out pretty darn good. There we go. Um, but we've got a few of them, a few different iterations. We're working on trying to nail down the production method, and figure out what exactly they want from it. Um, but you can see here, I used a form select tool, um, or a select form tool, and it's the Amana 56123 quarter-inch roundover, and that profile is what gave that nice rounded edge. And I think that really adds to the look of it. And then I did a simple compression bit for the outside perimeter to actually machine this outside edge. And then this one was just a simple V-bit. I used a, what did I use? I used a Sky One CNC quarter-inch 60-degree V-bit for that one. So geometrically, it looks really nice. I like it. I I think it would look really cool with some epoxy pour or something like that, maybe. But they're just a couple different things that I knew that I wanted to do. You know, the some of the changes, that I would make would be, let's open this up a little bit more so I can offset this. So if I go here, I want to offset inwards 1/4 inch. So now I can actually bring all my design out to match that. So if I so that's 6.5. So I delete this and I expand this out. And that didn't do what I wanted it to. All right. So we can translate this into a 6.5. Apply. Close. And now we can offset this by 0.05. And inwards. And we end up with something more akin to that spacing. So with that spacing, we're going to be able to get a little bit better line on that, a little bit more meat in between the actual designs. We could also go through and pocket all these with the V-bit. You know, there's something to be said about the pocketing method and going from there. I mean, basically, we would just do this, shift, and then go over to toolpath, close, pocket, and let's pocket this to 0.4. Let's remove that. Let's select this. Okay. 80, 40, 18, 2, 6. Okay, that looks good. Select that. And we can definitely do an offset, conventional, and we'll do something like that. So now would preview all the toolpaths, and it would look something like that. And now you end up with something with a lot more textured feel, but it takes a lot longer to machine too. We could also just do the pockets. So it would look something like that. And that would look really cool. And now we have a pretty nice setup. I think that that looks really good. And that doesn't look bad. Let's save that. But that's pretty much where I'm at with that part. I'm going to pull up rough casting. For the one that asked the question, what's a rough casting? A rough casting is when you pour metal into a form and it solidifies and it has like those pit marks in it. Trying to show a good example right off the bat here. All right, here we go. Morning, Jerry, that's great to see, man. You get with me after this and we'll talk about it and we'll go from there. All right, guys. The rough casting. So this is a rough casting and it's caused by the medium we use to cast the part. Typically we use a thing called green sand, which is a mixture of a filler, a silica sand, and an oil or a binder of some sort. The problem with that is if you use large grain sand, that creates a very rough texture on the casting. If it's not a visible or an integral part, it's typically not worried about. So you end up with this rough shell, but then you've got to machine these surfaces. So that's what I'm actually going to be working on is let's see here, casting aluminum in can. Okay. So there are guys that will cast, like this is a pulley setup, and there are guys that will cast like aluminum and stuff like that into shapes like this, and in doing so you're able to machine it down. So you might end up with something like this bar by pouring aluminum into a piece of wood or something and then machine it out so that you can make standoffs or something like that. These were cast kitchen cabinet handles. This is a table leg, different stuff like that. Um, let's see here. Yeah, Blackbeard does a lot of cool stuff on here. I've been watching a lot of his stuff. He'll actually melt down aluminum cans and make pulleys and different things like that. He makes custom knobs and a lot of the same stuff. A lot of the same stuff that I make. So it's always really cool to see exactly how he's doing it and what he's doing. And there's one in here where he makes cast aluminum book covers. He's got more than this. There we go. Like this is a casting that he did for his belt grinder. And you guys, I don't think anybody really realizes how much work actually goes into this to make these parts. I mean, there is a lot that goes into this. So when you guys are seeing this stuff, don't take it for granted too much. There's a lot there. But I mean, this guy does a really good job too. I am nowhere near his skill level, so that's what I do with my stuff. You guys have seen me cast aluminum and whatnot. Now I'm going to start making some new parts and go from there. So, but that's about it, guys. I just figured I'd go live today, let you know the Coffee and Cuts will be back on soon, and we will go from there. All right, later.